All right, all right. Okay. So just back here for another live stream. I believe it's actually been like 3 weeks since I was able to do the last stream. So I had maybe an hour on my hands tonight. Now I actually did schedule this stream to be, let's see, what was I believe it was scheduled for like 12:30 tonight, but I just realized I'm not gonna be able to do that time because we actually have some storms rolling in the area here. So I figured I may as well just, instead of canceling the stream, I may as well just do it earlier. So I do not believe I'm going to bring anybody up here today, just because I have a little bit of a headache. But I will be taking questions and comments. I will be reading the comments. So if anybody has anything interesting to put up there, I will address those. Also, let me know if the volume is working smoothly because I have the phone on a tripod here. So that's hopefully it's fine. We can see some of the we got some people in the chat tuning in. Hey, Lion of Judah, how you doing, man? We got Defender of the Truth. I believe that's Drew from Discord. How you doing, Drew? Oh, we got my guy Ruby, right? Rudy, inside joke. Yeah, how you doing, Rudy? I got someone named Mark. Hey, what's going on? I mean, not a whole lot, man. Not a whole lot's going on. How about yourself? And we got John here. Said he sounds good. How you doing, John? So typically I'm not sure like how many people are online at this point of the day because typically I do my live streams at nighttime, like, late at night or early in the morning. It would depend on like where you're at in the world, of course. Like say for instance, like brother Luke in Australia, when I do my streams, it's typically like what is it, like 12 o'clock for him or 11 a.m. for him. But meanwhile, over here, it's like, 2 in the morning, so yeah, I really don't know, if people are more active in the daytime, people more active at nighttime. So, it's always good here or there to switch it up a little bit just to here, let me see real quick. There's a new button here behind the stage. It's called something along the lines of a chat overlay. Let me check that out real quick. It says enable chat overlay. Chat overlay is now available in the free plan. Upgrade now to enable it to start interacting with your audience on stage. Oh, okay. So they they want you to pay for it. All right, all right. Shit, at first when I saw that was like, oh damn, that actually seems like a good feature. But then of course I saw the text that says, oh well, you gotta, pay for the feature. It's like, okay. I mean shit, what more do y'all want? I mean, you're already charging people like what, $50 a month to use the paid subscription version. And as I always said before, you do got to give credit to StreamYard that they do allow us to use their platform completely free. Of course, there are some restrictions with that as well, but you got to be fair and give them credit for letting us at least use the platform for a limited amount of hours a month for free because not a lot of platforms, are okay with that. Something I want to mention from my boy Rudy over here. It's funny, like whenever I see Rudy in the live stream, right? The dude's like always in the Dollar Tree, right? Got his camera on, showing the aisles he's walking in, right? He's always at the Dollar Tree, just like how I am. But something I want to say, man, is recently there was a Dollar Tree and Family Dollar in my area here who is going out of business. Like apparently it like wasn't a great area for the store or something like that, right? So they're going out of business. And I went there and everything was 50% off. So that means if you buy from the dollar store side, everything was like 62 cents or something like that. I was like, oh, damn. So I spent like $30 there. And then I went back a couple days later and everything was like 75% off. So I spent, another $30, $40. So, I mean, basically, if you do the math on it, you get like, let's see, 75% off. That would be like 31 cents each item. So you're basically getting 4 items for $1.25, which is really damn good, right? Really damn good. Of course, they only had like 6 aisles of stuff left, from the closing sale over the last month or two. But still, there was a lot of good findings. In fact, I did a video showing maybe 15 items I bought that a lot of people might not consider for prepping and preparedness. But I probably won't upload that for another month or two. That's something I want to mention. Like, there's a brother in the chat down here, Lion of Judah. He left a comment on a video that I did. I can't say I did it yesterday, but I uploaded it yesterday. It was a video where I go on a rant about the economy, right? And he asked a question and said, "Why do you, always upload, reboots or old videos?" And I said, yeah, and he said that because I put up a comment under the video and said that the video was recorded in December 2024, but it was just uploaded now. And he thought it was an old video being re-uploaded, but I told him no. What I do, which is, if I could say so for myself, a ingenious thing to do. Record videos in advance. Like, say for instance, if I can't record a video for an entire week for whatever reason, I already have like 10 or 15 videos backed up that I have private on YouTube that I can just go through and just, edit the name, maybe throw a profile picture or thumbnail on it, whatever you want to call it, and just tag the video, then just publicly upload it. So that way I already have a handful of stuff already recorded if I can't, record a video today or this week for whatever reason. Like, say for instance, maybe I'm going out of town and I won't be able to find time to sit down and do a lesson. Matter of fact, I'll let y'all in on a little sweet treat actually. I actually have, I want to say 25 videos that I have pre-recorded over the last year that are not publicly available, but they'll be sometime in the near future. Like, say for instance, if I ever, not feeling like recording a video but want to upload something, I'll just pull from that list to just upload something. Like, say for instance, on that list I got, a handful of exclusive debates that never been seen before. I've got the blackout box that I mentioned on stream. I did that video, not uploaded yet. Got a couple Dollar Tree videos. Got a couple Bible breakdown videos. A handful of rant videos. Overall, it's just a smart idea for content creators on this platform to have a couple of videos that you already pre-record but upload at a later date. So, say for instance, I got videos that I've made a year ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 2 weeks ago, that are just sitting there in private right now, so only I can view them. But then I might decide to upload them whenever I feel like it. So it's just an overall smart idea to do something like that. I call it having a backlog, right? It's called a backlog. And it's just overall a smart idea. So I told Jude about that, and he was like, "Oh, that's actually a pretty good idea." So that's why you might see a video, and I'll say in the comments that this was uploaded, in 2024, or the end of, say January 20th, 2025, or something like that, right? Or I'll give another example. I have two videos I did where I referenced the presidential election, as far as like coming in the future. So when people watch that, they'll be like, "Oh, well, wait, what is he talking about? The election already came to pass." But then if I clarify, well, the video was recorded prior to Trump's election, winning, then they might understand. Oh, okay, that's why, I didn't get it. All right, so let's see some comments here. Let's see what's going on. Drew said, been doing well. Hope you're doing okay too. I mean, I ain't doing that great, man. But I mean, I'm doing all right. That's all I can say, man. Right? Not doing good, but I'm doing all right. Let's see. Oh, how you doing, Jill? Yeah, weren't you just on St. Tommy's stream? That knucklehead from Ace's channel. Weren't you just in the comment section on St. Tommy's stream? Is that dummy still alive, or did he end his stream over there? It was funny. I was in the comment section asking if he would put a link up because I wanted to hop on his stream over there. But, apparently he didn't see it, or, was just too busy ranting. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to waste my time over there. But Tommy, right? St. Tommy. Oh, and by the way, I do have a exclusive debate video with St. Tommy that has not been publicly uploaded yet. And I called in and I confronted this guy on Jay Gee's live stream. And I wanted to, debate this guy about his universalism, right? He believes that everybody in the world is going to be saved by Christ. And then the other ironic thing is the guy's like, well, you don't even have to believe on Christ to get saved. When I heard that, I was like, that's really interesting. Like, I don't know how you can back that statement up, with the scriptures. And, lo and behold, when I go up there and challenge this guy on it, basically it's like, arguing with a little baby. I had to watch what I say to this dude because I didn't want the stream to get flagged for, elderly abuse. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want G's stream to get flagged for elderly abuse. So I had to just tone it down a little bit and, be even more, PG friendly with this character, for lack of better terms. Mark said, what do you got to share for us today? I mean, hey, man, I don't have a particular topic or subject on my, man. I just, instead of canceling my scheduled stream, I figured I'd just go live for an hour and, see what happens, right? See what people got to say in the comment section and just talk about whatever comes to mind. Bear for me a second. What's that verse somebody put up, Exodus 23:19? What's that verse have to do with? Is there a subject matter that you have tied to that verse? This brother asked, I believe he meant to say if. He said, if hell isn't a realm, why was Lazarus sent to Abraham bushes, and the rich man was burning, seeing the poor man in Abraham's bosom? Well, what is that? Luke 16 is just a parable, right? It's not to be taken literal. Now, you could ask what's the meaning of it, which I know that's what you want to know. And the answer I'll give you to that is it's just a parable about how, well, back in that time, you had the Pharisees and the higher up class of Israel who would oppress the average citizen, right? The regular Israelite. They'd be in oppression under the Pharisees. And the Pharisees represented the rich man, and then Lazarus represented the poor Israelite. So in the modern time today, all of us, We represent Lazarus, right? We're that poor man begging at the master's gates for the crumbs that fall from his table, metaphorically today. And then the rich man represents the top elites and higher ups of this society who have us in financial servitude to them. And then the hell part about it, again, it's all metaphoric, but it's going to be a switch around, right? In the future, when Christ comes back and sets up his kingdom, we're going to be put on top and they're going to be put on the bottom, right under our feet. And that's going to be the big switch around. So just like how the rich man was told in his lifetime, he received, good things and Lazarus received negative things. Then there was a switch around. Right now, Lazarus receives good things and the rich man receives bad things now. Right. And that's what's going to happen when Christ comes back. The other nations are going to be put into servitude under Israel. Matter of fact, if you read, what is that, Revelation, I want to say that's 3, 9, and 10, talks about that those who claim they are Israelites and are not, they're going to have to come and worship before your feet. Right. And it's another one, Revelation chapter 2, verse 25 on down. Christ said, to him who overcomes, I'm going to give him power to reign over the nations with a rod of iron. You can read Isaiah 60 as well, right? Start at 10 on down. Right. It talks about the other nations are going to be in servitude under Christ and to Israel. And that's basically the breakdown of Luke 16. It's just a metaphorical story about how the upper class of the society, right, the elites, they're going to be brought down low. And then us, who are their servants today, we're going to be put high and they're going to be put low when Christ comes back. That's basically the interpretation of the parable. All right, let's see what's going on. Marimberto asked, ETT, what does it mean when it says we shall hate life? John chapter 12, verse 25. He who loves his life will lose it, and he who hates his own life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Yeah, what it's talking about is that we have to put our own, values and, goals aside for the Lord. If it gets in the way of what Christ is for, then we got to put that to the side. Like, say, for instance, you know, things in this world that we might enjoy, we might have to stop indulging in some of those things if it goes against Christ's standards. Like, say, for instance, you might have to stop hanging out with people in the world that you might have known growing up. You might have been close friends with, but if they're into, all these type of different profane things and, invite you to do the same thing, if you tell them you don't want to do those things, eventually that friend group probably won't want to see you no more, because you're in contradiction to what they value and, like to do. So you have to, deny yourself, right? Deny you know, um, your likings in order to follow what Christ, his examples of what he stands for. I'll give you another practical example. I always liked to buy those Slim Jims, right? The Jack Link's Slim Jims, right? I always was a fan of those. But then I found out that a vast majority of them actually have pork in them. So ever since then, I'm not able to buy them anymore. Technically, could I buy them if I wanted to? Sure, I could. But would that be going against the Bible? Yeah. So I choose to not buy them because it would be going against the scriptures. And actually, the other day when I was at the store, I happened to glance over at the aisle where they had them in, and I actually seen, and they were selling them for a very good deal. Like they were trying to get rid of the stock they had. They had a regular one, right? A regular one, or a dill pickle flavor one, or a spicy version. They wanted 50 cents for each of them. I was thinking to myself and saying, well, I mean, hell, if they didn't have pork in them, I'd probably buy the whole stock because these things were really damn good back when I used to buy them. But hey, I have to deny myself. I have to deny my um my wants because that goes against the scriptures. So that's basically what the verse is talking about there, that we have to deny certain wants that we have in order to follow after Christ and his character. So, like, say for instance, like the Bible talks about how, let's see, what's an example I could give you? Like the Bible talks about how Christ came to set a son against his father and a daughter against his own mother, her own mother, excuse me. Right. And then it says that a man has to, hate even his own family. Now that doesn't mean that you have to like literally hate them and, all that and move away and never talk to anybody ever again. I mean, you could do that if you want, but you don't have to go to that extreme. But what it means is that if they get in the way of the ministry, if they get in the way of the truth, well, then you might have to put them down. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I always have people that, in my family that I know who, might try to get you to do things that go against the scriptures. Like, say, for instance, like I had somebody who wanted me to try some, pork ribs that they made. And I was like, "Hey, sorry, man. I don't mean to disappoint you, but I can't do that." And then another person wanted me to go get, you know, uh, a shave, right? I got to, shave all my hair, and just get like a bald, face without any hair. And I was like, "Hey, well, thanks for the suggestion, but I'm not able to do that because that would go against would go against the scriptures." So that's just an answer for what that text is talking about. Yeah, Mark is right with what he's saying here. Mark said Lazarus and the rich man is not a literal hell or heaven. It's a parable using folklore of the time to preach social justice. Christ was condemning the moral failure of the wealthy elite. Yeah, that's basically what it was about. And as I said, it can relate to this time today as well. Right, but that's what it is. A lot of people go there to try to say that there is actually a hell that they both went to. I mean, but that would contradict the Old Testament, right? And the whole Bible's message as overall, because the Bible all throughout doesn't talk about wicked people dying and going to hell and righteous people going up to heaven when they die. The Bible teaches that everybody enters into a state of sleep. Just read Job, the third chapter. Right, it talks about how the spiritual realm, he says, they're the wicked, they cease from their troubling. They're the weary, they're at rest. Right, they're the small and the great, they rest together. Right, the prisoners don't hear the voice of their oppressor. Or I'll give you another example. Let me see, what is that? Yeah, First Samuel 28:19. Right, when King Saul went to a witch to summon the spirit of Samuel, Samuel came up, which he was a righteous man, but he told a wicked man, Saul, that there's going to be a war, he's going to die, and then they're both going to rest together. So it's like, well, wait, well, why is, if there was a hell that existed for wicked people, well, why is Samuel telling Saul that they're both going to rest together after death then? And Samuel, he already passed away, but his spirit came back up to talk to King Saul, right? And then he told him he's going to rest with me, meaning what? When he dies, they're going to, rest together. And if you read the chapter, Samuel tells Saul that, the Lord's departed from you and you became an enemy of the Lord. So King Saul at that point, he was a wicked man nearing the end of his life. So why did he not go to hell then? Right? That's what seems in contradiction to the Luke 16, if you take that as literal. Let's see. Oh, okay, okay. I see what you're saying, Drew. Marberto said, "Thanks for the example. I was thinking we had to be like monks and not enjoy anything to get eternal life." Nah, yeah, it was good to clarify that. Like the Bible talks about, it's okay to use the world but not abuse the world, right? Like, say for instance, there's nothing wrong with having some wine and alcohol every once in a while, but the time when it would be bad is if you over abuse that, right? Like over usage of it. The truth is everything can be good or bad in moderation, right? Well, don't get that mistaken though. Because somebody's going to be simple minded and hear me say that and say, "Oh, so does that mean that you could, eat unlawful foods in moderation?" No, that doesn't mean that. But I'm talking about, like, say for instance, even water or grape juice, right, or apple juice, or carrots, fruits and vegetables. They overall are good for your body, but having too much of them at one time can also be negative as well. Did you know it's possible to die from drinking too much water at one time? Look it up. It's called water intoxication, right? If you drink like 3 gallons of water at one time, you could die from that because it's too much water for your body to process, and your brain will shut down from it. It's true. There's literally like what, half a dozen people in the last like 10 years or so who died from that. Look it up. So again, everything has to be done in moderation. But again, it's certainly doesn't mean, that somebody has to be like a castaway monk and, never, go anywhere in society and, never do anything in order to, truly follow the Lord. It don't mean that. But with that being said, there certainly is some, aspects that we should strive to stay away from, with the, modern day, cultural practices in society, such as, say, for instance, perhaps it would be a good thing to not hang around, an over amount of a wicked worldly people, right? Sure, sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you got to go out somewhere, and you might be surrounded by people. Like, say, for instance, every time I go to the store, there's always, some rainbow dudes there. Like literally, you can't get away from these guys. But it doesn't mean it's wicked if you go to the same store they go to, right? Just, ignore them and, just get what you came there for and then just leave, right? It doesn't make you wicked just because you shop at the same store as them. But, don't hang out with those type of people. Like, say, for instance, um, the guy down the street might be, a rainbow person. That doesn't mean you have to go and attack that guy. You can peaceably exist on the same street as him. Just, ignore him and just, keep to yourself. Let him do what he's doing over there. And hell, if he waves hi to you, you can wave back. But I mean, don't go over to the guy's house for dinner or nothing like that. You don't want to become friends with those type of people. But it doesn't mean you have to, physically attack them or nothing like that. Let's see. Mark said, which, by the way, I don't know who this Mark guy is. I don't think I ever talked to this dude. He said the witch at Endor story was folklore. I mean, I disagree with you on that. Hell, is this guy an atheist or something? In that case, all the Bible would be folklore in his perspective. He said, it doesn't prove an afterlife or ghost shows how the authors of Samuel used popular beliefs to illustrate Saul's doom. Story reflects Israelite superstition. Nah, I mean, when you read it, it was like a literal story that happened, right? It wasn't written in a parable. It was an actual story that happened. Like King Saul literally went to a witch to summon the spirit, and the spirit came up and talked to Saul. And even the Bible says that it was Saul that came up and, excuse me, it was Samuel that came up and talked to Saul. Because what people try to do is they try to say that it was actually a demon that was making himself appear like Samuel, but it was actually just like a demon or some type of, foul spirit that came up and was just pretending to be Samuel. But that's not true. The Bible says that this was Samuel, right? Samuel came up and talked to him. It doesn't say that he was like a demon or something like that. That's something people are just adding into it for their own delusion, but that's not what the text says. All right, let me see real quick. I'm just checking something in the background real quick. Okay. Yeah, that's a good verse. It said Philippians 4:15, verse 5, excuse me. Said, "Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand." Yeah, that's a good verse. That's a good verse. So something I need to bring up here in the stream and mention is right now, with everything going on in my circumstances, I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do live streams. So I need to stress that fact that streams might be slowing down a little bit. Of course, they're not going to be disappearing. They're not going to be disappearing, but they're not going to be as frequent as as I initially would have planned for them to be. Right. But when I get the off chance to do a stream, I certainly will, but it's not going to be as frequent as I plan for them to be. Just due to some circumstances, that I got going on right now. It's it ain't easy for me to do what I do. There's all types of bullshit and unnecessary hoops and hurdles that I have to jump through just to do the little that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? It's pathetic the circumstances I'm in, but hey, what can you do? What can you do about it? Yo, Mark, are you like an atheist or agnostic or something, man? I've seen the cat in the comments before, but I've never had a conversation with the guy though. Let me just grab a drink real quick. Yeah, we're already 35 minutes into this live stream. Man, I think it's already been that long. Hey, okay. Let me see here. Excuse me for being silent here for a minute or so. Oh, okay. So this guy put up a comment and said, Paul believed that Christ was about to return in judgment quickly. So Philippians 4:5 means time is running out because their action are going to be judged. So I don't know if this guy's like a full preterist or something like that. By the wording of his comment there, now it leans me to believe that he's a full preterist or partial preterist, according to that. What is up with that? It seems like everybody is a preterist now, right? Everybody is either a partial or full preterist today. It's like, I don't get why that's like the new trend all of a sudden, right? Like I don't get why that's like the new trend on the internet to call yourself like a preterist now. It's like, is it really something to brag about? That you believe that Christ already returned 2,000 years ago, and basically, we're living under his rulership today. And, well, things don't really get better than this. I mean, come on, it's just, it's laughable, it's truly laughable to me. It's funny because something that a lot of people ignore is that the world is a lot more wicked and corrupt today compared to what it was, 2 or 3,000 years ago when the Bible took place, right? Like when the stories we read about in the Bible, were happening in real time, right? Like when Christ actually walked the earth in real time. The world wasn't as wicked back then as it is today. I mean, it's so obvious to see. Like say, for instance, the internet didn't exist back then, right? But now it does. Like say, for instance, did you know that the surface web, which is where the stream is on and where Google's on and where all of you watch your YouTube and all that, it's like, just a small slim amount of what's actually on the internet. Then you go deeper and get to the deep web, then the dark web, and then the Mariana's web. Inside joke, look that up. But a lot of people don't know about that, right? There's actually layers to the internet, and as you go deeper in it, things get more bizarre and strange. I don't I don't go on the dark web myself, but I do know how to do it. You got to use like a Tor browser or something like that, which I know guys who do all that. Like say for instance, like that dude, the King Lion, right, aka the Loving Christian. Um, I've known that guy for like what 8 years now or something like that. But he does that, right? He goes on like the dark web and stuff like that. But you have to have like special equipment for your computer in order to go on to that level of the internet. Which it'd probably be a better idea to stay away from doing all that, in factuality, right? It'd probably be better just to stay away from all that stuff. But it's possible to access it. Yeah, like one talking point I want to mention, and there was actually somebody in the comment section who pointed this out the other day, but I already thought about it before they put the comment up. In fact, I did a video about it, but I haven't put that out yet. And it's about, how preterists will tell you that, Jerusalem was Mystery Babylon, when it fell in 70 AD. But the point everybody overlooks is, well, hold up a second. Well, here we are today in 2025, and Jerusalem is still surrounded by armies today. Like seriously, there's war going on. There's multiple different countries that are in conflict with Israel today. So how the hell could the quote unquote people of God in Israel, which again we don't accept the people in Israel as God's people, we believe those are imposters. So that would be one point of disagreement. Those are not God's chosen people. But for hypothetical argument, let's just assume they were, right? Because whether they are or not is irrelevant because the land itself is truly what's fought over, right? If you look into the history of Jerusalem, the Holy Land is like claimed by, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, right? So you got like 3 or 4 different religions who hold to that land in some aspect or another and are in constant fight with one another. Like, say, for instance, if you ever did research into the Crusades from like the, 12 and 1300s, where the Muslims and the Christians would be in war over the Holy Land. And why is that? Because both of them hold the land in high importance, to their religion. right? So the land itself is still the Holy Land, right? That's the land where Christ was, and that's where the Bible history took place. So the people are irrelevant for conversation here. But the point is the city's still under siege and under attack even to this very day. So how the hell could that great city have fell 2,000 years ago, and that was like the conclusion of the Bible, but yet Jerusalem is still being falled over to this very day? So again, it just doesn't logically make sense to say that 70 AD was like the grand conclusion of the fall of Jerusalem when Jerusalem is still being falled over by armies today. Like, how the hell did October 7th happen? Which they claim was, the biggest attack on the Israelite people since World War II. Right? Like, how the hell did October 7 happen if the people are dwelling peacefully in the land today? Like, doesn't the prophecies talk about God's people being set up and dwelling safely in the land again? Which obviously hasn't happened as of today, because that's future context. But according to these guys, it did happen. So how the hell does that make any damn sense? And then third of all, on from that, how the hell are Christians around the world dwelling safely? Like, isn't there a new news article coming out every week about some Christian church incident where masses of people are getting killed because of their beliefs? You know what I'm saying? Like it seems like every other week there's shit going on. So how the hell is the church dwelling safely today? That doesn't make any damn sense. Just retarded. Mark said, bear with me a second. Mark said the Bible is a collection of ancient texts written by humans, authors over centuries, reflecting evolving religious beliefs, cultural traditions, and ethological agendas, not a single unified revelation. Well, I mean, I'd say you're just unstudied on that because there is a unified revelation. I mean, say for instance, if you read the prophet Isaiah and Jeremiah, they're two separate people, but yet they speak against Babylon, and it's just in the same type of writing style, right? And like say the same things against her. So how the hell could they not be correlated? Right? Like how could that not be a unified revelation in your terms, as you said? Clearly it is. Clearly it is. And then you have all throughout the Bible this notion about a day of the Lord, right? This dark day of the Lord where, the heavens will be on fire, people are going to be mourning, and there's going to be great destruction and distress upon the earth. You see that notion clear throughout the entire Bible. So how the hell is there not a unified revelation? I think think it's clear that there is to some degree or another. But perhaps that might be difficult to see for, an atheistic or, some type of mindset like that, I suppose. Okay, bear with me a second. I gotta check something real quick. Okay. But yeah, man, I don't really have a whole lot else to say, man. That hell, I'm burnt out at this point. Shit, I'm burned out at this point. That's all I can say. Well, yo, Mark, I'll tell you this, man. I mean, next time I do a live stream, live open panel, I invite you to click the link, and perhaps you can enlighten the audience as to your statement there about how the Bible doesn't have, um, as you said, unified revelation. I mean, I'm interested to see your position on that because I mean I think it's obviously clear that it does. Like say for another example, we see the Bible talk about Christ all throughout it, like it's in Genesis, it's in Deuteronomy, it's in Isaiah, so that's unified, right? What they're saying about him, right? Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing? Chris said Mark proves something that is wrong from the ancient scriptures. Yeah, yeah, go destroy it. Man, man, this boy Mark, he'd be in way over his head, in a conversation. But nevertheless, I'd be open for a friendly, respectful conversation. But man, this boy is way over his head. But yeah, nice to see you here, Chris. That brother's always cool in the comments. But yeah, let me say that again. He said Mark proves something that is wrong from the ancient scriptures. Yeah, that's a really good question. Right. Then he said, yeah, he'll lose. Yeah, I mean, it's nevertheless though, right? You got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, and hey, if he'd be open for a conversation, that's all cool, fine and dandy, you know. But yeah, I mean, they'd probably struggle to find something that they could try to claim would be inconsistent or wrong in the scriptures. So yeah, Mark, if you see me live when I do like an open panel, you're welcome to click the link and come up here, and we could maybe continue the dialogue on live stream, subject to your choice, but try to keep it relevant to your statement there. But yeah, man, I'm winding down. I think I could go maybe 10 more minutes. I gotta wrap it up at round it up to at least an hour. I'm not gonna sit here and do 52 minutes or 49 minutes. You gotta at least wrap the show up to a damn hour. You know what I'm saying? Was it about 8:30 here? Yeah, it's still daytime over here. Typically it'd be nighttime by now. But I mean, probably in the next half an hour, it'll be dark over here. But as of now, it's still daytime out. It's still light. Earlier I shared on my community post, I shared a video from the Philosophical Gamer. I'd recommend everybody go check that out. It was a really good put together video. And, I just wanted to share that so everybody can check that out in their free time. So if you have not yet done that, I recommend checking that video out that I shared probably like 6, 7 hours ago, something like that. Yeah, and I seen that the other brother in the chat from earlier, Lion of Judah is starting his own podcast over there, which that's good for him. I remember I mentioned to him when I talked to him on like the first time I had him on my show. I remember mentioning to him, "Hey man, you should start, your own podcast on YouTube, where you can just use the StreamYard. You get totally for free, 20 hours a month. So hey, you can't complain with that, right? So I'm glad to see that he reconsidered that and did start his own show. I mean, shit, like every time I turn on YouTube, I'm getting a damn notification from that dude's channel. It's like, wow, like did you buy the damn premium or something, man? Like, how the hell do you get the hours for all these live streams that you're doing now? Doing a hell lot more than I am. Oh, and another thing I want to mention, I tried maybe a week ago. I tried to do a live stream from the YouTube app itself. Like, for other people out there who create content, you might know that you can go live from the YouTube app itself. But I mean, I got to say, it was terrible, right? And at least in my experience, the live stream option from the YouTube app itself was terrible. Like, hell, say for instance, the screen was even all glitched and just had like a green tint to it, like bright green tints. Like, I don't know what the hell was up with all that. And then even weirder, I go to try to rewatch the 20-minute stream I did just to test it out, see the options and stuff available. And you couldn't even hear the damn stream, right? Like literally it was on mute or something, but I know I know it wasn't on mute when I did the stream live because they had a couple people in the comments that I was texting, or I should say that I was reading their text, excuse me, I was reading their text and they could hear what I'm saying. So I don't know what the hell was up with that. But now I know for the future to not use that. And it's a damn shame. Like you would think that it'd be easy to do a live stream from the YouTube app without having to go to like a third party service in order to do the live stream. And by the way, on YouTube you have to have like what 100 subscribers. I believe it might even be 500 now. Might even be 500. Or it's either one of two things. Either it's still 500 or people were bitching and complaining, so they dropped it down to 100, which is what it used to be on YouTube, like, 8 years ago or something. So it's either one of the two. But if you use StreamYard, you can completely bypass that, though. You could literally do live streams with like 2 subscribers on your channel, right? Because it's streamed live from a third party service, right? Because StreamYard is not owned by YouTube. It's a third party service, but it just gets broadcasted live to YouTube. So, say for instance, I'm technically not on YouTube right now. I'm technically on StreamYard, but you're watching me on YouTube. So, I'm technically on a different website, but you're watching me live from YouTube, though. Right? A little hard to understand, but, shouldn't be too difficult. Mark said, when examined with critical thinking and historical analysis, the Bible often reads more like ancient mythology than divine revelation. I mean, hey, you're welcome to that perspective. But I mean, like, say, for instance, how is it if the Bible was just like some type of mythology? Like, how is it that the world we live in today seems to match up what you read in the Bible? Like, say, for instance, the Bible talks about technology where you'll be able to buy things with having something implanted under your skin. We have that today. Right? The Bible talks about, describes America perfectly, describes the United States in modern day terms perfectly. Sure, it doesn't use the word America in there, but it uses different wordings to describe America. And, the Bible's not going to plainly come out and use that term because it will be too obvious. And the Bible clearly states, if you read, what is that, Matthew 13:10, Christ answered the apostles and said, I speak in parables because it's given to you to know the mystery of the kingdom, but unto the masses of people it's not given. So the Bible uses metaphors and analogies and metaphorical language because it's not given for everybody to be able to know what it's talking about. It would be too simple and obvious if it was written in, plain English or, plain writings. Sometimes it got to be, metaphorical examples. Mark said, "You're welcome to call my live stream and enlighten yourself on truth." I mean, I'll consider, I'll check out your channel, Mr. Mark, and perhaps we could have a conversation in the future. I'd be down for that. I don't got a problem with doing that. That's fine. We'll see. We'll see where that goes in the future, though. Yeah, so I'm gonna go for like 3 more minutes, and I'm gonna wrap the stream up at an hour here. If anybody's listening to the live stream afterwards, go ahead and put uh hashtag purple, since that's the icon that Mr. Tony is using here. Shit, anybody remember that dude Tony back from when Shireg used to come on here? Right? He used to have the same name as this guy in the comment section here. So shit, I don't know if this is Tony himself right here, or he's just somebody using the same YouTube handle name as Mr. Tony. Man, that dude was hilarious, man. Which, not that he knew a whole lot or nothing like that, but man, the 1 or 2 streams we did with that guy was funny. That's the type of dude who, couldn't even count from, 1 to 100 without, starting over 3 times. Look at this dude. He said, "I'm not Tony, just a coincidence." Shit, but you know, I'm just gonna call you Tony, right? Oh shit, I'll just call you Tony. But yeah, man, what a coincidence! Like how the hell did y'all have the same name? Shit, I'll give you something else. I'll tell you something else. There's literally like 4 different people that use the YouTube name Defender of the Truth. Like you got the brother Drew in the chat from earlier using that slogan. You had the other brother, Bible Defender, right? Defender of the Truth, that used to come on my streams maybe a year ago. Then you got the GMS guy that uses the same name. Then you got somebody else on YouTube using the same name. So it gets confusing sometimes when you see all these different guys using the same damn name. It's like, well, who the hell is this? Who the hell I'm talking to? Because there's 5 different guys with the same username. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. He said, I believe someone from KJ's channel also thought that I was Tony. Who's KJ? You talking about KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel? Yeah, I know that KJ. But you'd have to tell me who the second KJ is. Judah said, how do you feel about warning people of prophecy, but they will say your God is evil and it's fictional? When I get those reactions, I laugh on the inside. Yeah, I hear you, man. Like, say, for instance, if you go up to Christians and talk about how, well, Jesus is going to come back and, kill people, they'll look at you like they don't know what the hell you're talking about. And then if you go to Bible verses where it talks about, Christ coming back and actually slaying people, like say for instance, Luke 19:27, those that are my enemies bring hither and slay them at my feet. Or Revelation 19, when Christ goes forth and makes war with the armies of the world, so on and so forth. Oh, well, we don't know what you're talking about, man. We don't know what you're talking about because Jesus is all love. It's like, I mean, if you want to believe that, you believe that, but you're not living in reality. Some of these guys are going to get a reality check when Christ comes back. Just like these free gracers, and let's say for instance, um, this dummy Jill. Shit, I believe this cat. Yeah, he was in the chat earlier, right? Jill. He asked me on live stream. Well, you two, are Israelites sure they're going to heaven when they die? And I said, well, first off, the start, the Bible doesn't teach that you go to heaven when you die. But then, second of all, you can't say that you're certain that you're saved because you don't know, right? You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I'm saved. I'm saved. I know I'm saved." It's like, well, how the hell do you know that? You're not God. So how the hell do you know your future? God only knows. So to go around and you run around and tell people that, oh, I'm saved, I'm saved. It's like, well, you don't know that, man. So we'll take the humble route and say that we don't know, we're unsure, who God has chose or not. But these guys, on the other hand, like Jill, oh, I know I'm saved forever. It's sad and pathetic, seeing some of these brainwashed people. Just like Miles, right? My buddy Miles, just like he said, some people are just gullible and ignorant, and would it even change their beliefs? Even if the Christ descended from the heavens and literally bitch slapped them across the face and then gave them the truth himself, that still wouldn't be enough to educate some of these guys into considering that maybe they had a misunderstanding about whatever the subject might be. Right? Even if the Christ descended from the heavens and quite literally backhanded these guys, that still wouldn't be enough to get them to realize that they might have been wrong. And it's truly just sad and pathetic. Yo, how you doing, Luke? How you doing? What, I'm laughing because, I always mention on my live streams that brother Luke always tunes in at the end. Like how I don't know what it is, man. That brother always tunes in to the streams when I'm closing the stream up, right? But that's all good. That's all good. I know it's just a time zone difference that we got here. But yo, how you doing, Luke? I know you're over there in Australia. Okay, let's see. Let me just grab a drink here. I'm drinking one of um, these Mountain Dew Kickstarters. They're called. It's actually the fruit punch flavor. Yeah, these things ain't bad. I mean, hell, it's not my go-to energy drink, but I mean, $1.25. I'm not gonna argue with it though. Oh, okay. Luke said he's been listening for 50 minutes, but he's just putting a comment up now. Okay, that's cool, man. That's cool. I get you. Said I was stuck in traffic. Man, how's the traffic over there in Australia, man? Hell, that's a whole nother thing, right? Road rage out here is increasing every day, it seems. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's literally people, like I saw a video the other day from Florida. There was a woman who got shot and killed over road rage. It's like, seriously, people are going to ruin their lives and get a criminal record just because they got cut off at a stoplight and wasted 10 seconds of their time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, some people just don't think. His brother said they're going to ramp up on bread and circuses while the system is falling apart. Yeah, I mean, you see that all around, right? Hell, like everybody's just concerned with, who's going to be, boxing Jake Paul next, right? Or, some of these other damn sports events. That's what everybody's mind is set up on right now, it seems, right? But hey, same thing with Rome, right? Like if you do any history with Rome, like the Roman Colosseum that was set up over there when they first erected the building, it was opened with 100 days of constant sports and games over there for the people, right? Literally 100 days in a row. There was constant gladiator fights and animal fights. Did you know they had naval battles inside a Colosseum as well, right? They flooded the Colosseum and staged naval fights in there. And actually, if you see the movie that just came out, Gladiator 2, which I have not got a chance to watch the new one, but I have seen the original one. Um, but I did see a clip on YouTube that somebody put up where they show the naval battle take place. And that was pretty cool to see that. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that actually back then they were able to convert the stadium to hold water in it. And it's a fun fact as well. Like I've seen multiple documentaries where they actually go to the Colosseum. You can go underneath it, and they'll actually find like structural evidence that's left behind on the structure to show that they did have water in it at some point. And there's actually like tunnels, and I guess a good way to describe it is like underground like sewers, leading away from the stadium, right? And you can actually follow these to see where they would have got the water from in order to fill the stadium. It's interesting to look into when you get the chance. They said there are floods over here and people are stupid to go on the roads. Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, hell, people out here, even when there's a damn hurricane coming, people will still be driving on the roads. I mean, I've seen it. He said, is overpopulation a thing in the Bible? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that the Bible talks about the earth being overpopulated. I mean, hell, the Bible literally says in Genesis, when God created man, he said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the world, right, with people, right? And he also said that to the animals as well. Excuse the background noise. Yeah, the Earth's population as far as today is roughly 8 billion people. Fun fact, did you know that America only has 4% of the world's population? A lot of people don't know that. Now, while it's true, nobody knows the exact number of people on Earth, but it's just a rough estimate that there's roughly 8 billion people. Could be a little under that, could be a little over. It's just really a guess at this point. Just like the US population will claim it's like 342 million. Well, it's really like 350 million because literally every single day there's thousands of people who illegally, so called illegally, cross the borders into America. And over the course of, decades of that happening, that adds up over time. So there's millions of people over here in this country who the government doesn't know they're here because they get in under the radar, and are able to, like literally, if you go to the Mexican border, it's possible to squeeze through that in certain gaps they have on it. And you can enter the US without the government knowing that you're here. So there's really, if you think about it, there's really like 350 million people in America or around that number, right? Nobody knows the exact number, but it's roughly around that to some degree or another. Yo, how's it going, my guy Galapagos? How you doing, man? Long time no see. Long time no see. Hope you be doing well. I see you still got IDL as your profile picture. Is that dude still alive? Shit, haven't seen that IDL dude around for a long time. This guy's asking. Dude asked. Luke, if he could send him a live Huntsman spider. Man, I don't even think you're allowed to send the animals out the country, man. I mean, I know that you could probably, depending on where you're at, you might be able to send live animals. Like, say, for instance, like I watch some of these dudes on YouTube that get like live turtles and fish and lizards and stuff sent to their homes. But I don't. I mean, I don't know if they'll be able to do it overseas though. But hell, they probably could do that if you're living in the same country though. Right, right. Yeah, overpopulation is not true, right? The governments are trying to get people to stop having children. I know at least in China it was like what was it, a two-child policy, right? You could only have two children. If you have any more than that, then the government will, either want the woman to get an abortion or, take the child and raise it somewhere else. But they wanted the families to have no more than two children, right? That was their policy. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. Right, it's all about that money, man. Right, that's everybody's mindset out here, right? Ever can bring that cash. Okay, so anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap the stream up there because it's almost 9 o'clock here. I know we got a couple people tuning in late, but you can always rewatch the stream, the hour that you missed. But yeah, I'm gonna close the stream up there. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time.